You always need the ending semicolon, and we did not have an ending semicolon here because this is part of it. If blah blah, then blah blah. It's like an if-then statement, or if not, then not statement, I guess, if that makes sense. Whereas this is ended because it's an end of a line of code, and then else, we also don't have a semicolon after that because else goes with this because it's saying, it's like if then, if not, the else is like the if not, and then this is like the then not. Then not old enough to drink, you are not old enough to drink, if you know what I mean. So if you have any questions about pertaining to this code, feel free to comment below. Feel free to, comment below with listing your code and whatever you did to see if I can help you with it. You could also do some math with this. Like, for example, you could say for example, you know that the people entering this have their birthday later in the year or whatever, or for some reason you wanted to do something such as some kind of math with it. So you could do your math there like I showed you in the last tutorial. So say you wanted to divide the age by 3 for some reason, you're being really weird. So you could do age divided by so it's going to give us an error, of course, because we need to end that with a semicolon. And so if I am, say, 21, it is dividing it by 3 here, which means that then even if I put in 21, once 21 is divided by 3, it becomes 7, obviously. So 7 is not bigger than or equal to 21. Whereas if we put in, say, let's run this again, 21 times 3, because it's being divided by 3, is 63. So if we type in 63, you are, because it's dividing that by 3, and now you have 21, which is equal. So, you know, here it gives us a problem if we have too long of a number. Do you know why? It's because that is no longer classified as an integer. It is too long to be an integer. So let's try that again. If we wanted to, we could do, say, a double. And then we could do a longer number like that. Ta-da! We could do a really long number like we had earlier. Although that even might be too long. Okay, that's not. So even that could be contained within a double. But again, with a number like age, as long as it doesn't have a decimal like 21.739 years, you're going to want to use an integer because a double takes up more space in your program because it reserves a bigger amount of space for that double, for that number that's said to be a double. And so if you're storing, it's like getting a 10-foot by 10-foot storage container and putting an apple in it. You have a bunch of wasted space that you actually can't use because now the shape of the apple makes it so that you can't put something 10 by 10 in there unless you get rid of the apple. If you put something else in there, it's going to crush the apple, more than likely, depending on what you put in there. But at any rate, you can't put something else in that storage space, at least not very easily, not that I know of. And so there would really be no point in using a double unless you just wanted to annoy people by using up a lot of memory for something like an age. Now certainly if you were saying something like, say you're doing how many milliseconds did it take or how many nanoseconds did it take a computer to start up, download a document, and shut down. I don't know why you'd be doing it in nanoseconds, but certainly you would need something like a double or whatever, a larger number than an integer for that. Tomorrow I will cover like the hierarchy of, is an integer, is a float bigger than an integer, is an integer bigger than a float, by the way it is, a float is bigger than an integer. When you'd use, is a double bigger than an integer and all that. So, So I will do that tomorrow. I will give that basic introduction tomorrow. I will give you a little hierarchy, and maybe, if I feel like it, what numbers each of those can go up to, like how big of a number you can store in an integer, etc. And so that pretty much concludes it for today. If you want the source code, of course, this programming code that I have here, I'm just going to test it one more time. Yep. Great. This source code here, I'm going to actually not put, I'm going to get rid of this line because that was just a FYI, and I'm going to make this an integer again because I don't want to have bad code here. And what is it screaming about now? Right. Okay, so I'm going to post this in the comments. I'm just going to make sure it works right now. 21, yep. Okay, so I'm going to post this code right here in the comments below. Actually, not the comments, I mean the description. What am I saying? I'm going to post this code in the description below for if you need to use it or whatever. If you have any questions, comment below with the code, as long as the code's pertaining to this tutorial. Because remember, I'm learning Java myself, so I can help you with code relevant to what I know and what I'm teaching right now. But advanced Java code, anything past what's in this tutorial, I cannot answer on the comments of this tutorial more than likely. And in fact, this took me a little while to figure out. So please do not ask questions beyond what this code is on this tutorial. On further tutorials, you can ask questions on the content of that tutorial. But at any rate, I will feel free to answer any kind of comments or questions you have about this code to the best of my abilities. And as always, have a nice day and subscribe if you like these videos, and thank you. Hello and welcome to another Java tutorial. This is the best Mac tutorials. Please watch this video in HD, that way you can read the text better. So let's begin. So basically yesterday, this is a play off yesterday's one. Yesterday I taught you how to essentially get a user input and then do something very simple with it, like tell them whether, in basic terms, whether the number that they entered is bigger than or smaller than one number, such as whether the age they entered is above 21, in which case we would give them an output like you can drink or whatever. So today my scenario is going to be you have been hired by an amusement park company and they want you to write a computer program that can tell that a person can enter their age and their height and to find out if they're eligible to ride a ride. They have to be 52 inches or taller to ride and 9 years or older to ride, and both have to be satisfied for them to be able to ride the ride. So we're going to import java.util.scanner. We need our scanner. We're going to do a public class Java tutorial 2 class because it's a play off yesterday's. Left brace public static void main string args. Sometimes it is better to write that for you, but whatever. So we're going to go scanner in equals new scanner system.in, and that's going to basically create a scanner object for us. We're going to define some variables like an integer height and integer age. Then we're going to go system.out.println. Remember, that goes to the next line. And we're going to print how tall are you in inches. And then we're going to make it so the next integer that they enter will be defined as the height, the value of height. So we're going to go height equals, and then we're going to write in.next int, left parent, right parent. So the next number entered. I'm going to go to the next line, system.out.println what is your age in years. I'm going to, of course, end these properly. And then we're going to do the same thing we did earlier with height, but now it's going to be age. So age equals in.next int, left parent, right parent, colon. So the next integer entered then after that line will be what defines age, what age is converted to in a integer. So, well, not really converted, but what age is defined as an integer, the integer that age represents. So now we're going to do something with it. So if both our height is greater than or equal to 52, or you could also put greater than 51 because it can't handle decimals anyway, but this makes it a little more human readable, I guess, for some going through your code. Then we're going to put and then we're going to write age is greater than or equal to 9. Then we're going to go to our next line, and we're going to say that if that is true, then system.out.println you can ride. Whereas if else system.out.println you can't ride. And then that tells the program that if that is true, then run this command. If that is not true, so else, run this command. And then we're just going to end it with those braces, and we're going to run it and see what happens. I'm sure there'll be an error somewhere in it. Let's see. Okay, I forgot a period there. Okay, now it should run properly. So to say how tall are you in inches, I'm going to type in 51. Oops. What is your age in years? 9. So even though one matches 9, you can't ride because the other one doesn't match. Both of them have to match for it to follow this line. Otherwise, if one of those or both of those are wrong, it's going to go to this line. So how tall are you in inches? Say I do 57. And your age? 10. You can ride. Or I'm just going to do one more example. How tall are you in inches? Let's say a kid enters 72.3 because he's feeling particularly like a smart aleck today. Well, it's going to give you a bunch of errors because, well, guess what? That's not an integer. That is a decimal. So I guess I'll just do one more to show you what happens if. So then if I have this one matching, so that one works, and then your age in years is 8, you can't ride because that one's false, even though that one's true, so it makes the whole statement false because this and this are not true. So anyway, that is basically my Java tutorial for now. I will be back later, hopefully, with, depending on what we learn in class today, with another Java tutorial that'll be Java tutorial 3, not Java tutorial 2, part 2, like this one was, or part 3, or whatever it would be. And, by the way, like I said earlier, if you don't watch this in HD, it's really hard to read the text, and if you can't really read the text of what I'm typing in, it kind of makes for a problem, because it's sure you can download. I'm going to put a download link in the description for a Mediafire link to this code, so you can download. It's I think it's either a .rtf or a .txt file. I forgot which one I'm going to make, but either one of those, you'll be able to open it at any rate, and you'll just open it up and look at the code. But a lot of times it's better to watch the code as I'm typing it, so I can explain each line, because that's making an object, that's defining your integers, that's telling it what to print out, that's telling it what to accept from the next integer from someone, that's telling it what to print out, that's accepting the next integer and defining it as that variable. Same with that line. This one's saying if the numbers entered match the conditions, then to print this, then to run this command, which is saying you can ride. And if one of them or both of them are wrong, so it doesn't match what I'm asking, then to run this command, which is printing out you can't ride, because system.out.println, and len makes it go to the next line. So you see, explanations like that generally help, and so when you just download the code and listen to the video, you don't get as much out of it. So please watch it in 720p to see the text better. I wish I could restrict the video to only play in 720p, but I can't, at least not that I know of. So at any rate, I will just upload this video soon, and I will hopefully be back pretty soon with another video. Thank you. And as well, you might want to subscribe if you like these videos. That way I can be sure to, or you can be sure to, always get a new one when I release another Java tutorial. So thank you and have a nice day. Hello and welcome to another Java tutorial. I know yesterday, or on my last video, the part 1 of Java tutorial 2, or maybe it was part 2, I think it was part 1 though. I said that I would today give you basically a hierarchy of values, like, you know, a double is bigger than a float, and a float is bigger than this, and that's bigger than an integer, and whatever. And, you know, all that. And so I will, I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to do that in my next video, which I hopefully will create today, though. So, yeah. Please watch this video in HD in full screen, because then you can read the text a lot better. And I know I put the sample text on Mediafire for you to download, but it's a whole lot easier for most people if you can read the text while I'm talking. And it couldn't do any harm, aside from taking up your full screen for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. But if you're going to watch this video and pay any attention to it, it's probably easier for you, if you're even watching this for some reason, to put it in full screen so you can read the text. So I saw this cool website today. I will go right to it. Bookmarked it. Rose India, they had some cool Java stuff, and I was just browsing through it. And, you know, I'm beginning at Java, and I saw this cool program, and I thought, wow, that's neat. I'm going to try to expand on it. And so basically what they do is, in the code, you hardwire 2 integers, and then it compares them, and then prints out a little bit of content based on the comparison between the 2 numbers. And I thought that was cool, but I thought I could add more. So what I do is I'd add user inputable, if that's not a word, but numbers that could be inputted by a user. And by the way, I do them as doubles, not integers, because then they could be really big, because people could do like huge kind of math with this. So I decided that I would do a tutorial on how to expand this kind of, actually I'm going to rewrite it, but basically make this idea for a program into a reality with something more like user inputable numbers, and at the end also saying the difference between them. And so, without further ado, we will start. I deleted everything in the class because I just like, I don't know, I like typing it myself. So we're going to import our Java utility scanner class. We're going to do all the dumb stuff it normally wants. Like that. Left brace. Then we're going to do our, you know, lovely public static void main string left bracket right bracket args. Still have not figured out what that means. I will soon though. So we're going to make a new scanner object. So scanner in equals new scanner system.in. So that's making our scanner object, so we can use the functionality of the scanner class. So we're going to define A and B. Those are the 2 numbers being compared. I am going to use doubles so that people could, I already said that, but I'm going to use doubles so that people could enter larger numbers. So I'm just going to define A and B as doubles. So double A and double B. Makes sense. You could also use integers or floats or longs, but doing it this way would make it so they could enter relatively huge numbers. So yeah. Then we're going to go, we're going to do our system.out.println so that we can tell them what this program does. This program compares 2 numbers and tells you what the difference between the numbers is. Okay, I'm going to end it properly. I'm going to forget that probably like 5 times during this tutorial. So then we're going to do another one, system.out.println. Please enter the first number you want to compare. And then we're going to end that properly. And then we're going to use our scanner class to pull in whatever they type in and enter. So A equals in.next double, because remember it's a double. Yeah, I got that right. And then we're going to go system.out.println. Please enter the second number you want to compare. And we're going to end that properly. So B now equals in.next double. So then the one they enter after that will then be B. So B will be equal to whatever number they enter after that appears. And A will be after that appears. So it'll be pretty straightforward for the end user to figure out what's going on. Not really in the code specifically, but how do you work the program, which is the intended purpose of making any software, is to make it easy for, well, most software, is to make it easy for an end user who does not know programming to be able to use your program without a bunch of hassles or anything like that. And also to make your code easy to read for other people to read your code and do derivative works off your code, or if you hire them at your job or you're hired at their job or whatever, so you can read their code and they can read yours and make sense of it and you don't have weird stuff going on. And which is why I always like to line up my braces here.